Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in to today's video. Doing GavsWeatherVids Sunny Roundup for today's video. So, the Sunny Roundup is back after being away for a couple of months. The last one we did, I think, was at the end of April. So we didn't do one in May because we was building up to the winter 2023-24 NAO forecast, but now that's out of the way. We did that last week, of course. We can bring you a sunny round. So we're going to be doing your eclectic mix of this and that, looking at things like solar activity, CFS temperature anomalies, the QBO, AO, NAO, etc., 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 and the weather for the next week, 10 days and beyond. So sit back, relax, enjoy, and I shall talk you through your Sunday afternoon roundup in about just two more of these to go in July and August, and then they're put on the back burner in favour of the winter updates. Can you believe that? Just a couple of months away from winter updates. Goodness gracious me, we never stop at GavsWeatherVids. But, you know, got rest of something to go to before we have to worry about that. So I'll get on with the study roundup for you in a moment. Just to say that first video today was our 6 AM UK weather forecast, and we've also released the third autumn 2023 update, so check out those two vids if you'd like to. Like, share, subscribe on the video. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. Right, we're going to start off with solar activity. So this is how the solar disk is looking on our side of this today from solarham.net. Got sunspot regions all over the place. Look at this. We've got sunspot regions there, here, here, and down here as well. Now you look at that and think that solar activity will be at high levels. Actually, solar activity has been at moderate levels and is expected to be low or moderate over the next 3 days. A lot of those sunspots are quite small, of course. This would be GavsWeatherVids Sunday Roundup Solar Activity Tracker sent through by Schreier. We continue the inexorable march through to solar maximum. So this is showing every day's worth of sunspot activity back to January 2022. It's at a very low level then, of course, just coming out of the solar minimum. But now we are up here, and we've had our most intense period of solar activity through this solar cycle, actually, through this particular couple of weeks. So the previous highest point was there, the orange spots there. Remember, the orange spots are depicting each individual day's worth of sunspot activity. So we had our first sort of peak there. We've gone even higher than that, though, over the past week or so. So we've been up here. Or we're still up there. So, yeah, solar activity at pretty high levels at the moment. And you can see from the green line, which is a trend line, of course, how the solar cycle is trending upwards in a non-linear fashion. So it doesn't, doesn't go up day by day. Sometimes you get like drops, and then you go up, and then you get a drop, and then you go up. But the trend is upwards at the moment as we move on. Solar maximum, we're expecting solar maximum around 2025. So we've got about 18 months or so of further increases through this solar cycle. Probably is turning into a more active solar cycle than was anticipated for a while. Lots of both activity for solar cycle 25 would be very weak, but actually it's turning out to be a rather more active cycle than we anticipated it would be, although still at the weak end of the range of solar cycles. This is comparing solar cycle 25 to solar cycle 24, again sent through by our good friend Shrine Broom. Thank you so much, Shrine, for sending this through. This is updated up to May. So you see the previous peak was just there back at the start of the year, although May came in just there, so very close actually to the start of the year. I think that's January, that blue spot just there. I expect June is going to be above that, probably up here somewhere. And compared to solar cycle 24, the last solar cycle, so we're pretty much on a par with the two solar maximums, actually, two solar maximums which occurred in 2011 and then again in 2014 were up here So you know we're pretty much there where we was with the solar maximums of the solar cycle 24, the two solar maximums, the first, the second peak in the end of 2011 and the beginning of 2014. The difference with this solar cycle though is that between 2011 and 2014 we actually fell backwards again. If you remember, sort of 2012, 2013, the first half of 2013 anyway, had quite weak levels of solar activity, whereas this time we appear to be sustaining those quite high levels of solar activity. So I think solar cycle 25 is turning into a slightly more active solar cycle compared to solar cycle 24, but we need like another 6-12 months to confirm that, but I think this is a slightly more active cycle than was anticipated, and slightly more active cycle than solar cycle 24 was. Thank you so to Shryan for sending through our trackers. We don't have a solar gift from Rich today, which is on holiday. Having a lovely time, Rich, and we'll have a solar gift from Rich with next month's Sunday roundup. Thank you so much, Richard, and thank you so to Shryan for sending through the solar data. Right, sea surface temperature anomalies next across the ocean. So we've got the Pacific Ocean just here, and of course the ENSO region is there. We've got the Indian Ocean just here, and then the Atlantic Ocean is over there. That's how the oceans were looking when we did last month's, or April's Sunday roundup, I should say. It must have been 2 months since we did a Sunday roundup. That's how the oceans were looking in April, 28th of April. This is the latest, and Atlantic looking looking very dramatic, but more about that in a moment. Let's deal with the ENSO region first of all. So we are moving towards El Nino by the look of it. This area of warmer than average sea surface temperature anomalies through the actual Pacific Ocean is the signature of El Nino, so it looks as though El Nino is developing. We wait to see how strong that is going to get. Things obviously warming up in the northern Pacific as well. We're beginning to lose that horseshoe shape of cold and average sea surface temperature anomalies in the northern and northeastern Pacific. Warming is taking place through there, so it looks as though the PDO is beginning to shift more towards the warmer side, as has been in a colder phase over the past few months or so. And in the Indian Ocean, warming is taking over as well. Warming is developing. It looks as though we are going to have a positive IOD through this summer and into the autumn. Indian Ocean dipole is predicted to go positive, and you know, have a lot more about that with our winter updates. Now, the Atlantic, goodness gracious me, what on earth is going on there? Again, let's compare this to April. So that's the signature in April that we had, 28th of April. Obviously quite warm here in the tropical and subtropical Atlantic, and cooler through there, but obviously over the past couple of months very significant warming has taken place. We have got a bit of a heat wave going on in the Atlantic Ocean at the moment, so you can see how warm it is, like from Greenland through to the UK and Ireland, down to Spain and Portugal, and also through here as well off the coast of Africa and into the tropical and subtropical Atlantic. Now, you would look at that and think we're going to have a really big hurricane season, and if we was in a ENSO neutral or La Nina phase, then my word, we would be expecting an enormous hurricane season, I think, with those warm and average sea surface temperatures. The one thing that goes against that is the El Nino. El Nino has a dampening effect on the Atlantic hurricane season. Basically, you get more storms in the Pacific and fewer in the Atlantic when you're going into an El Nino. So the El Nino should sort of dampen down the tropical activity, hurricane and tropical storm activity this year. But this is a very warm tropical and subtropical Atlantic, and so I think I'll wait and see. We've got the Atlantic very well primed there for a big hurricane season, and you know the Pacific is going to say no to that, so we may get like a lot of small storms that don't really develop and whatnot. But it's going to be very interesting to see how that works out, because well, I think the Atlantic and the Pacific are going to be kind of fighting with one another for ascendancy, so going to be very interesting to see what happens. This is a tripole, by the way, so warmer warmer and then cooler through there. To be a classic tripole, you would want the cold and average area of C7 temperature anomalies here to go colder than they are, but nevertheless, that is a tripole signature that's progressed from the signature that we had in May. So, yeah, you know, it's historic. What we're seeing in the North Atlantic with both C7 temperature anomalies is historic. It's warmer than it's been on, you know, since we've measured sea-surface temperature anomalies in the North Atlantic. And we wait to see what the effects of this is going to be as we move through the summer and into the autumn. I would imagine when the jet stream starts getting going, it will combine with this very warm Atlantic Ocean and potentially produce a lot of low pressure, maybe quite a lot of storms and whatnot. But again, because we haven't seen sea-surface temperature anomalies as warm as this previously, it is going to be very interesting to see what the effects are, and we will be keeping you posted at GavsWeatherVids. This is the Southern Oscillation Index, SOI. So this is an index that's measuring the atmospheric state in the Southern Pacific Ocean. Doesn't drive anything in its own terms, just tells us what the atmosphere is doing, measuring air pressures between Darwin and also Tahiti. So when the SOI is negative, the atmospheric setup will be reflective of El Nino. When the SOI is positive, the atmospheric setup will be reflective of La Nina. You can see that the SOI is solidly negative, so that tells us we are in an El Nino. We are seeing the atmosphere and the ocean coupling together to produce an El Nino. So back in at the end of May, it was down at -14 with our 30-day SY average. At one point at the beginning of June, we actually went down to under -20, and now we have gone up to close to -6, but we're still, you know, solidly in negative territory. Of course, the 30-day average does move around quite a lot. The 90-day average, this yellow dashed line, doesn't move as much, but that is in solidly negative territory as well, telling us that, you know, we are well and truly in a in an El Nino type setup. These are our daily returns. So it's measuring atmospheric pressure. This would be column for Tahiti, this is column for Darwin, and then this is the overall SOI number. So you can see solidly negative, although the past 3 days have been in a more positive state. That's the reason 30-day average has lifted up a little bit, but still overall negative. But before that, like, we get some very negative numbers. 21st of June at -26, 19th of June at -19, 18th of June at -26, etc, etc. So yeah, it's well and truly we're well and truly in an El Nino, both in terms of the atmospheric setup and in terms of what the ocean is doing in the equatorial Pacific. CFS V2 ENSO Forecast for region 3.4. That's a central part of the equatorial Pacific Ocean, looking like this. Predicting an El Nino, though not as strong as it was predicted a couple of months ago. So when we did April's sunny roundup, we did an El Nino update, I think, about a month or a couple of months ago. We was up here with the prediction for CFS was forecasting like a super Nino. You see the black dashed line is now going up to here, which is like moderate to strong El Nino territory. So the CFS have backed away a little bit from its very strong / super Nino, super El Nino forecast from a couple of months ago. Excuse me. Nevertheless, it does look as though we are going to be seeing a continuation of this El Nino event, and we expect it to carry on through the rest of the year, and the winter 2023-24 is likely to be an El Nino winter. There's a lot of interest, I'm noticing, about what that could be, and of course we can't really say a great deal at the moment, but when we do our winter updates, El Nino will be an important player within those winter updates. But we've got to wait and see how strong this El Nino gets. If you get very strong with ENSO, La Nina or El Nino, if they become, really strong events, then it very often peps up jet stream and produces like a mild winter effect for Northern Europe, in my opinion. But if the La Nina and El Nino events are weaker, and if the El Nino becomes central based, which is a Modoki El Nino, then you can get colder winter weather. So we're going to have to wait and see how strong this El Nino gets, whether it becomes Modoki in nature, and we'll know much more, bring you much more information about it when we do our winter update starting in September. We will probably do an El Nino update again in the next couple of weeks, I would have thought. Cubio, quasi-binary oscillation, is still in the westerly phase. So this is a Cubio page from NOAA showing every month's worth of Cubio numbers back to the 1950s. 2023 just here. You see we've got these positive numbers, plus 12, plus 9, plus 10, plus 12, plus 9, telling us that the westerly phase of quasi-biennial oscillation goes on. But it is drawing to a close. We should be starting to see the westerly Cubio reversing to easterly through the remainder of this summer and into the autumn. The last number we have for May is plus 9.26. This is from NASA, and with this you've got to think that these are boundary levels of the atmosphere. This is the top of the atmosphere that we call the stratosphere, 10 HPA, and this is the boundary level of the atmosphere that we call the troposphere, 30 to 50 HPA. That is where weather is taking place. Where we've got the sandy brown colours, that is that's the westerly Cubio phase. We've got the blue colours, that is the easterly Cubio phase. So you can see that from the past few months, from the top of the atmosphere and stratosphere down towards the troposphere, the next easterly Cubio phase has been descending. Hasn't quite got into the troposphere yet. It's sitting just above the troposphere, but you can see there is very clearly a descension, if that's the word, of the easterly phase of the quasi-biennial oscillation going on. And so that's the reason that over the next 2 or 3 months we should shift from an easterly to a westerly to an easterly Cubio phase. So winter 2023-24 should be an easterly Cubio winter. I'm saying should because over the past 10 years we have had a couple of failures of the easterly Cubio, but I don't think this one is going to fail. This one looks very solid the way it's moving down from the strat into towards, not got there yet, but in towards the troposphere. Looks very much like that descension in 2020 through to 2021 and whatnot. So the EC Cubio appears to be on the way, and obviously that will also be quite an important and significant feature of our winter updates. Okay, Arctic oscillation observed and forecast next. So the AO is just an index that's measuring the atmospheric state, similar to the SOI, really. It doesn't drive anything its own terms, just tells us what the atmosphere is doing. When the AO is in a positive phase, we've got low pressure over the Arctic and the pole. When the AO is in a negative phase, we've got when the AO is positive, we've got low pressure over the Arctic and pole. When the AO is negative, we've got high pressure blocking over the Arctic and the pole. The black line shows where we've been with the Arctic oscillation. Red lines at the end where GFS Ensembles forecasting the Arctic oscillation to go. So through most of June, the AO so far has been in negative territory over the past couple of days, past few days. The AO has been more positive, actually. As we go on from June into July, GFS Ensembles forecasting the AO will stay sort of weekly positive, really. So no sign of like a northern blocking signal as we go into July, which is, you know, good news if you like warmer, drier weather, actually, because blocking over pole in the summer tends to send a jet stream southwards and can produce quite unsettled conditions. However, against that, we've actually got the NAO going into negative phase, and through most of June, probably not a surprise given the sea surface temperature anomalies, the NAO has been in a negative phase. As I say, that's not really a surprise given the very strong tripole signature that we've got at the moment. So we did go a little bit positive with the NAO a few days ago. We're now around neutral, and the GFS Ensembles are forecasting as we go from June into July, the NAO will be going back into a negative phase once again. So AO positive or weekly positive, NAO negative or weekly negative. Going to be interested to see how that works out. Again, a lot of fighting going on there. The Arctic and the Atlantic kind of fighting with one another there. Right, very hot out there this afternoon, so temperatures have reached 32 degrees, 90 Fahrenheit down here off the coast of southeastern England. Inland, we find the temperature again up to 30. 30 degrees at Milton Hall. These are the temperature observations from XC Weather, by the way. So, Milton Hall, Royal Air Force. We've got temperatures up to 30 degrees. Marham, up to 30 degrees. Norwich, up to 30 degrees as well. Coming into Midland, Church North is at 27. Oxford is at 29. Odiham is at 29 as well. And going down towards the south coast. Not quite as hot there. Got a bit of a breeze, I think, off the channel. And so temperatures sort of lower 20s. But out to the northwest, it's actually a lot cooler. Aban is just at plus 14. Prestwick is just up to plus 16, and Connaught Bridge at 16 degrees as well. Cooler air is on the way. That could well trigger some thunderstorms. Let's have a look at the radar picture from the weather outlook. So you can see we have got a cold front coming in from the Atlantic today, bringing heavy persistent rain into Scotland and parts of Wales. Some thunderstorms beginning to break out to the east of that band of rain as well, around the Liverpool area and into the northwestern Midlands. Some storms are cracking off through there. These storms will probably turn more widespread across eastern Scotland and also eastern and northeastern parts of England through the course of this afternoon. But as a cold front pushes through, it will sweep the storm's way, and of course it will lower the temperature as well, as the name implies. The cold front will bring colder or cooler temperatures, and then we're off into a different Atlantic-based airstream for the coming week. Okay, sectioning temperature has now reached 17 degrees, so this is now beating June 1976 for the sectioning temperature. That is 3 degrees above average. That's provisional to yesterday, to the 24th of June. That's going to go up even more once today's CT is calculated tomorrow. Although after that, we'll probably in the closing days of the month see that coming back down again. So I imagine it's going to finish up in the high 16, perhaps somewhere like 16.8 will be our final finishing number. It could be a very exciting finish, whether we beat June 1976 or we come out just under it. 16.9 is what we've got to beat to, or 16.9 is what we've got to get to equal June 76, and at 17.0 is what we've got to achieve to beat June 1976. So that's going to be quite an exciting finish. These were GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles for the next couple of weeks. The red line is the 30-year upper air temperature average for London. Starting off hot at the moment, of course, but by tomorrow we will be quite a lot cooler. And then as we go through the last days of June and into the first 10 days or so of July, no sign of a return of the hot weather really. Upper air temperatures sticking around the long-term 30-year average, so it will be, cooling down once today is out of the way. There's no sign of a return to very hot conditions in the next week to 10 days. A lot of dry weather for London for the remainder of June, or for the next few days anyway. The last couple of days, so this is like Thursday, Friday, have got some precipitation then, so it might start turning wetter at the end of this coming week. And then into July does look a lot more unsettled, I have to say. So if you like hot, dry summer weather, make the most today, because it looks as though there is a deterioration to both cooler and also wetter conditions on the way there. Temperature anomalies from the 25th of June to the 3rd of July coming out about average in the north, still a bit above average in the south. I think once today is out of the way, we'll probably see these trending average, maybe even slightly cooler than average. Precipitation anomalies from the 25th of June to 3rd of July, driving average to England and Wales, a little bit wetter than average for Scotland and also for Northern Ireland. Latest Windflow Map from earth.nullschool.net shows that change is taking place. We've got hot southerlies in the eastern part of the country and cooler westerlies coming in off the Atlantic in the western part of the country. In between, there's a cold front marking the boundary as that cold front pushes through. So those westerly winds will start moving in from the Atlantic, lowering the temperature and certainly freshening things up quite a lot. Right, let's go through chart data there. Mr. UK Euro run is looking for midnight on Wednesday. So still got a bit of a reach into the south on Wednesday. Low pressure out to the northwest. That area of low pressure takes over through Thursday and Friday, bringing a general change to cooler and more unsettled conditions through the second half of the coming week. Low pressure just sinks in over the top of the country next weekend, bringing showers and or longer spells of rain with it too. Icon again has that little ridge into south on Wednesday, but that is pushed out of way through Thursday and Friday and into the weekend as low pressure comes in off the Atlantic again, bringing showers and longer spells of rain through, of course, next weekend. With winds going into like a northwesterly, we go on to the cool side of jet stream, so turning a lot cooler and a lot more unsettled there as well. GFS Midnight Run once more has that ridge into the south on Wednesday, but by Thursday, Friday into next weekend, turning more unsettled as low pressure sinks in from the North Atlantic, bringing cooler and also more unsettled conditions too. And up to day 10 stays quite unsettled with GFS Midnight Run as well. Further showers and longer spells of rain. And that carries on into extended range. This is the 9th of July with another area of low pressure over top of the country. More wet weather coming in with that cool and unsettled for the first 10 days of July there. GFS 6Z again with that little ridge into the south on Wednesday. That gets pushed away through Thursday and Friday as low pressure comes in off the Atlantic into next weekend. And beyond that, into the following, it's Monday, 3rd of July, low pressure remains in control. So showers, longer spells of rain, and cool as well, up to day 10. We're going on to cool side of jet stream, run to a trough of low pressure. It's going to be a significant change, I think. Really deep area of low pressure there in the North Sea. That's Thursday, the 6th of July. That could bring some gales to the east coast. If it comes off, it's a very long way off, of course. That right at the very, very end of GFS 6, we do see a change again to higher pressure, though. This is Tuesday the 11th of July. We start getting a ridge building from the Azores up to Scandinavia. So it could be that like first week, 10 days of July is unsettled and cool, but then we transition back to warmer, drier conditions for the second week of July. If you enjoyed the video, please do like, share, subscribe, and show to everybody if you did that. Drop a comment, let us know what you think about this and all of our videos. And don't forget to tell your friends about GavsWeatherVids. We thank you so much, everyone, for doing that. GM, again, with that little ridge into the south on Wednesday. That gets pushed away through Thursday and Friday as low pressure comes in from off the North Atlantic, bringing showers and longer spells of rain. And it stays unsettled all the way up to day 10 with further low pressure through the north and the west of Europe. These zones of low pressure will bring showers and possibly spells of more persistent rain at times. And then the ECM again with that little ridge into south on Wednesday, all muchness, but through Thursday, Friday, and into next weekend, there is a change to cooler and more unsettled conditions. Although the south could hang on to drier weather actually for a little bit longer with the ECM, but generally ECM is going in the same direction as all of the other models, which is quite cool and quite unsettled too. This is a precipitation forecast based on that ECM run from Meteo.com. Here's today's thunderstorms predicted to be across the northern half of the country in particular, where there could be a few showers further southwards as well. But generally the south is a little bit drier compared to the north. Into next week, showers or longer spells of rain coming and going, and that takes us all the way up to day 10 as well. So not that much rain though getting through into the south, but quite a lot further north and west. These are the options on the table within the ECM Ensembles today. For day 10 gets us to the 5th of July. 15 members of the ECM Ensembles, placing us under an area of low pressure, quite a deep trough of low pressure there on the 5th of July. 10 with low pressure just to our east, and again that's unsettled, cool and showery. Another 10 including control and the operational run with low pressure pretty much over top of the country. 8 with low pressure just out to our north and northwest, and another 8 with low pressure across the northwest. You have all options there involving low pressure at day 10, so looks like the first week of July will be unsettled. What about in 2 weeks' time? Well, this is the option that we've got. Gets us to the 10th of July. 51 out of 51 members of the ECM Ensembles, all of them still with some sort of trough towards Scandinavia and a ridge out in the Atlantic. And so that's not as unsettled. We're probably still a little bit showery. Might be starting to transition towards higher pressure. You know, it might be a transitional type period as the trough of low is beginning to weaken. But up to like the 10th of July, that is still going to be a little bit on the showery side, I think. CFSB2 finally, and then we're done with this 30 round. What an epic video it's been. I hope you enjoy it, everybody. So these are 500 millibar height anomalies broken down into week periods. The first week period will take from the 25th of June to 1st of July. The next week will have low pressure to the north, high pressure will be out to west. So that brings the wind in from the northwest. Obviously it's cooler wind direction, and it will be rather unsettled as well. Not much change for week 2. It's the 2nd to the 8th of July. Again, low pressure to our north a northeast. High pressure is out to our west. Winds are coming in from a northwesterly direction. So again, that is going to be rather showery and a little bit on the cool side as well. Week 3 will be the 9th to the 15th of July. High pressure starting to build up from the south, bringing something a little bit drier and warmer from the south. And then week 4, quite a significant change. It's 16th, 22nd of July as high pressure takes over through the UK and into Northern Europe as well. That brings lots of dry and warm, potentially even very warm weather with it as we go into the 4th week there. So after a cooler and unsettled start to July, there is a transition back to higher pressure, bring hotter, dry conditions by the middle of the month. We'll see about that. CFS B2 for July overall, 700 millibar height anomaly today looks like this, with above average heights from the Atlantic into Western Europe. That brings, probably quite a lot of dry weather with it. Doubt it will be quite as settled as it has been in June. There will be some influence from lower pressure up here, but overall should still bring quite a lot of dry weather with it. And temperature anomaly for July is a little bit above average, not excessively hot though, not as hot as it's been in June. Precipitation anomaly, no signal. I would expect again probably a largely dryish month, but not as dry as it has been. Not as dry, not as hot as it has been in June for July there. They change daily though, remember, so that could look different when it updates tomorrow. And we're done. If you've enjoyed this Sunday Roundup, please do like, share, subscribe. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. Drop a comment. Let us know what you think about this and all of our videos. And don't forget to tell your friends about GavsWeatherVids. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing that for us. Right then, I'll just tell you what's coming up tomorrow. We'll have another Sunday Roundup, probably the last weekend of July. I would have thought that's right with everyone. So I'll just tell you, though, what's coming up tomorrow. We're going to have the 6 a.m. Forecast. We will have a 10 to 14 there. And we're going to be live streaming at 8 p.m. We'll be going live and we'll show you some long range in that live stream as well. So that's going to be epic. I shall see you tomorrow at 8. You enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Try and stay cool. If you don't like the heat, then it's only got a few more hours to go. And then it's on its way out. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday for this week, for this month's Sunday Roundup. That's all for now. And thanks for watching.